What's up guys, Intelitech Studios here, and today we're going to be doing the full living room vacuuming video with the freshly repaired Hoover Elite Cyclonic bagless canister vacuum cleaner. So this machine I acquired in a vacuum save video quite a long time ago, and I only just now actually repaired it. Now, it actually wasn't really that complicated of a repair. The only thing that was wrong with it was the power head was not turning on, the brush was not spinning, and it was very loose, so obviously the belt that was in it was either snapped or just stretched out or somehow just popped off of the spindle. And the only other issue, which it wasn't really an issue, but I'm assuming it's part of the reason why they threw it out, is this suction control right here was on the minimum setting. So obviously there's some air escaping from the side of this, and the suction wasn't as strong as it is on the max mode. Now, the reason I only mention that is because that's what it was like when it was thrown away, at least if I remember correctly. I didn't actually go back and look at the video, but I'm pretty sure it was left like that. But either way, not an issue because I can just turn it, but presumably if it was left like that, then they probably threw it away because they thought the suction was weak. Although this thing actually had really good suction, despite the filter being pretty badly blocked on it. It still had excellent suction, and the Cyclone didn't have anything stuck in it from what I could tell. I mean, I looked down into it. It's just a basic dual Cyclonic setup, so I was able to just kind of look down the Cyclone, and there was nothing stuck in it. So I haven't even bothered to wash out the Cyclone because from what I remember, there weren't any foul odors coming from it, so I didn't really see a real reason to. I did clean the filter, but after what happened with the clear track where the filter just kind of fell apart after being washed, I just went ahead and just vacuumed it off for now. So it's not perfect, it still has like the ever so slightest layer of dust, but it's good enough for now. And eventually I will probably do a more thorough refurb on this because I don't necessarily plan on keeping this because I'm generally not a fan of canisters, and this is 1 out of 4 canisters that I currently own, if you count the old, like, 1960s rusted-up Electrolux as a canister, which I guess it technically is, but it's just so old, it's like, does it even exist? So, but as far as semi-modern canisters, I have this Elite Cyclonic, which is easily the newest one. And then as far as like late 90s, early 2000s machines, I have that Kenmore Whispertone and the Phantom Lightning. So, not a lot of canisters. I'm generally not a fan of canisters, but I've talked to other vacuum collecting YouTubers who swear by canisters and insist that they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. So I've decided to be a little bit more open-minded towards them. I think I'll still always prefer uprights, but maybe these aren't as bad as I initially thought. But again, I haven't used this, so again, this is going to be me using it actually. So, and I haven't tried this. See, here's the first problem with canisters. You move this power head is so lightweight that it just kind of, well, as you can see right there, just the weight of the hose alone just makes it fall backwards. But maybe if I do that, maybe that's not a good idea because then if it falls, it hits my TV. There we go. Okay, maybe that should be good. Wait, does this have a little, like, parking thing? Because I see, like, this little bracket over here, but it doesn't look like it'll actually connect to it, which is a bit odd. Not sure why that is, but you can see there is a little bracket there, but I don't see what connects that. Maybe that's, like, a hard floor attachment would, like, slide on there. I'm unsure. I've done no research on this model. The only video that I've seen on this particular model was Phantom Lightning. The channel did a video on this back when it was still like a current canister. And that's about all that I can see, although I didn't really do too much digging into this. But cord rewind appears to work just fine. No real issues with that. It has a nice long cord. So we're going to plug this in. So pretty much identical cord to the upright Elite Cyclonic rewinds. So obviously I do have the upright variant of this. I have a few of them actually, including one I do have at this house, which is one that belongs to a customer that still hasn't picked it up yet. But yeah, so again, haven't tried it since I put the belt on, so we'll see if this works now, and I also cleaned up the headlight cover so the light isn't like all foggy now. So let's see if this thing blows up when I turn it on. Ooh. Yep, okay. There we go. Rotate this a bit. That pile of dirt looks like Hawaii. What? Got stuck. Well, so as far as being the first canister to... Come on, stay up. Okay, so as far as being the first canister to hit the new studio, and by studio I mean my new house, it's alright. I mean, well, okay, apparently it sucked in the rest of its cord for some reason. But other than that, was it? No? Okay, that's weird. I guess I just hit the button and didn't realize it. But yeah, so we can at least see that. Nice and smooth. Anyways, so this wind tunnel, well, yeah, I guess it's a wind tunnel, isn't it? Well, I guess it doesn't, I don't think it has wind tunnel technology. At least from when I opened up the power head, it didn't look like it had any sort of wind tunnel technology in it. But we can see, of course, the canister. So since this is at the slope, all the dirt is in the bottom of it, has settled there. But we can see, obviously I threw a lot of stuff on the floor too, because I basically didn't feel like emptying 3 different vacuums. Well, I guess technically I still did, but I wanted to see how good this thing was with debris, so I just took the Hoover Lynx and the Honiture H8 and just dumped those containers onto the floor, which was fitting because those machines cleaned up the stuff that was jam-packed in this thing, so it all kind of comes full circle. There's another thing I don't like about canisters. Why is this so difficult to figure out? You can see the lip right there. It's just, you just got to really force it, even when it's lined up correctly. But, and I'm sure there's plenty of people who are going to watch this video and think, well, this is not a good representation of canisters. And you know what? I think that's perfectly fair, because if you use a really bulky, a really like sort of hard to maneuver upright, and that makes you come to the conclusions that you hate uprights, then you could argue that that's definitely not fair to the entire category of uprights, because there's plenty of other uprights around there. And I'm sure canisters are the same way. But, I mean, I think it is safe to say, however, that every canister that I've used, at least, you know, like, think of the 2 examples that I thought of off the top of my head. This Elite Cyclonic and the Phantom Lightning. If you take the upright versions of those machines, meaning the Elite Cyclonic upright, or the Phantom Fury or Thunder, or I guess maybe even the Cyclone XT could fit that category as well. Really, any of the Phantom uprights. Those are easier to use than the canisters, at least in my opinion. Especially if you, in the case of the Lightning, if you compare it to like the Fury is a lot easier to use than Lightning. The Thunder and the Cyclone XT, you can make the argument they're a lot more bulky than Lightning, and they definitely don't work nearly as good on stairs. That is one thing I still love about the Lightning, is that it just sits perfectly on stairs, and no other canister really does as good. Now, generally, that's kind of irrelevant to me because I generally don't use any of those machines on stairs. Usually I'll use one of my cordless machines like the Honiture or the Lynx, or if I want to use a full upright, I'll use one of the Sharks with the lift away technology. So that's generally my go-to method of cleaning stairs. And I don't have that many stairs in my house, so it's not too big of a deal anyways. I obviously only have the one staircase that goes up to the upstairs. But one thing I will say about this machine, to get back on track, is that the suction on it has been really good. And the one thing that is nice about canisters is that, yes, whenever you are using just the power head, it is nice and light and easy to maneuver. The problem is that you've got this hose that you keep tripping on, because in the time of filming this video, I tripped on this twice, and then I stepped on it once. Thankfully, it didn't break the hose or nothing. This obviously is one of those like crush-proof hoses. At least that's what it looks like to me. You can kind of squeeze it and it goes back to form. But the biggest problem that I have with this machine is actually almost nothing to do with the canister bit itself, because that is fine. The main issue I have is this power head. And the main issue I have is the swivel neck on this power head. The swivel neck on this power head is less than useless, because I've seen plenty of people say, well, Dyson didn't invent swivel steering, so it's unfair to say that the ball technology is innovation. And yes, to an extent, that's correct. But the good thing about the ball, and a lot of the sort of designs based on the ball that don't have the motor in it, like the Dyson power heads and like the DC-18 and stuff, is the good thing about the ball is when you twist your wrist to make a turn, it actually actively turns the head on the machine. This does not do that. You could see several points where I was vacuuming where I tried to move the head to get into a corner, and I ended up just twisting the handle and then ramming the power head in the same direction. That happened especially like all around this area, and when it got stuck in the chair right here and all along around here, it was incredibly frustrating. Incredibly frustrating. Because this swivel on this power head, and again, I'll cover all this again in the full review, because I will do a full review on this at some point. This, well, first off, listen to those noises. But this, why would you want this? Why would you want this? Because, look at this. When you have it reclined and you go to turn, you see the problem? It's actually less useful than if there was no swivel neck. Because what would happen if there was no swivel neck and I turned it like this? The entire head would turn that direction. Granted, because there wouldn't be a swivel neck, it would still lift up off the carpet a little bit if I turned it too much. But it would at least turn a little bit. This is less than useless. Because if I go to turn, you see the problem here? If I want to turn around this corner, you see how that didn't turn at all? I twisted my wrist and it just rammed it right into the table. That's really stupid. And that's not thought out. And Unless this is somehow defective and it doesn't look defective, because it doesn't look like there's anything broken. It looks like that is the way that it's designed to be. And based on Phantom Lightning's review that I saw, he had a very similar complaint about the power head. So it does not appear to be an isolated issue with my example. It appears to be a big problem with these. At least with these Elite Cyclonic canisters in particular. Now, I'd like to try perhaps one of the wind tunnel canisters, like the bagged wind tunnel, but in canister form. I think that would be interesting. In fact, my local vacuum store actually has a canister version of the Eureka World Vac, and it looks really cool, and I'm half considering getting it. I don't know if I want to pay $50 for a World Vac canister, but I'm sure plenty of vacuum collectors might say that it's worth it. Excuse me. Sorry if I'm a little bit hiccupy and weird right now. But so again, the suction on this is really good, and I am happy with it. The performance is obviously fine. Like you could hear it. You could hear it actually, still agitating just like a wind tunnel would. And I would imagine that any discrepancies that this has with performance, which you did see in some of the debris where I had to go over a couple pieces a couple times, I think that is the only reason why, isn't because of any sort of discrepancy with performance itself, but it's because of the fact that there's not as much weight behind this power head. And that's another reason why I don't think that a lot of canisters work that well. Because a lot of the ones that I've seen, when I compare them to the upright variants, they don't seem to clean nearly as well as the uprights. And I think part of the reason is because when you have a power head, the only resistance that you're using to push this towards the carpet is you pushing it forward and that creating a downward pressure into the carpet. So when you're pulling it back, or when you're not putting a lot of pressure on it, that's not going to make it clean as well, because it's not pressed as far enough into the carpet. The bristles aren't getting as far into the pile, especially if you don't have a height adjustment like this. This has no height adjustment, whereas the Elite Cyclonic does have a height adjustment, so you can actually adjust it to the proper floor surface. Now, maybe I could try like taking like a concrete brick and taping it to the top of this. Maybe that'll make it perform better because it'll add more weight to it. But as far as using it by itself, I don't think that that's gonna be a great idea. But the suction on this is really good, and again, this obviously I'm talking a lot about this because again, this is the first time I've actually used it. So considering I haven't used a canister, I mean, outside of testing a couple canisters in vacuum save videos, this is the first time I've ever really used a canister. So, I mean, unless you count like a shark lift away in lift away mode, which definitely does not count, to say the least. And yeah, so this Elite Cyclonic canister, and I don't know what the model number is, but I guess I'll figure that out. I'm sure it's somewhere on the machine. Is actually no, let me find it, because I'm sure someone's gonna want to see the serial date on this. And so we'll just turn it upside down, and hopefully this thing doesn't hit me in the face. Try not to make the video turn. So it's model S3825. 12 amps, manufacturing code C09A. Okay, so 2009. So this is a 2009 machine. And obviously, well, first off, whoever designed this power head, yeah, not great. Especially considering that the belt that is in there appears to be a rubber stretch belt. It might not be. Obviously, it didn't seem like it was stretched out, so it might have been some sort of a synthetic belt. It looked to me like it was a stretch belt, so maybe it's not. Maybe that's not. It probably isn't, based on the fact that it still holds plenty of tension, unless maybe it popped off like right after they bought it, after it had very little use, and they just never threw it away until recently, which I suppose is possible. But yeah, so anyways, I don't want to turn this into a review video. It already kind of turned into one, but you know, because in theory you shouldn't review a vacuum unless you've actually had more experience with it and you've used it more, gotten more of a feel for how it works. So I'm not going to count this as the full review. This will just be the living room vacuuming video with an extra little rant on the side. So I don't know if any of you guys own one of these newer Elite canisters. I don't. Obviously, Hoover doesn't even make these anymore, from what I can tell. They definitely don't make this version. I don't know if they have an updated version that I'm just somehow not seeing on the website. But from what I can tell, Hoover's pretty much abandoned canisters. Which, I mean, even Bissell still has plenty of canisters. They have like the Zing, they have the Hard Floor Expert, they have the Power Groom Multi-Cyclonic canister. So, and I would like to review some of those, especially the Zing at some point. Which I did plan on buying the Zing like about a week ago, but I ended up just kind of putting it off for now. But since I'm getting a lot more machines from the vacuum store anyways, I don't want to overload with machines until I sell some more and make some space. But the next canister that I plan on reviewing will likely be that Bissell Zing, the bagged variant, not the bagless one. So, because I know a lot of people have been requesting that I look at that, so we'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, this Elite Cyclonic canister, it just has that, again, it just has that one fatal flaw. Otherwise, I think I could get used to it, and I think I could potentially enjoy it. But as it stands, if there is a machine in my collection to change my thoughts on canisters, if anything, just because of this power head, this is not it. This is not it. So this ain't it, Chief. But maybe at some point I'll get a Mila. Maybe that'll change my opinions on these. Again, I'm sure a Mila would be much better than this thing anyways. I would hope so for the price. But for now, canisters, no go for me. And this machine, I'll still use it for a little bit longer, do a full review on it, and immediately sell it. So if you're interested in this, my offer up is in Teletech Studios, just like the channel. So look out for that. And if you're wanting this machine, it'll probably be listed at some point soon. I don't really see any reason to keep this, unless I find some revelation about this thing that makes me want to keep it. So anyway, guys, this is Inteltech Studio signing out with the full living room vacuuming video of the Hoover Elite Cyclonic bagless canister vacuum with whatever model number was on that sticker from 2009. And this is Inteltech Studio signing out, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully you enjoyed this super rambly long video, and hopefully it wasn't too annoying. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one. Peace.